Yo, welcome everybody back to the JV Sports Room. As usual, your host, JDino, the other half of the team behind the scenes, my man Vince.
Here.
Holding down the Kobe corner with a fresh Mamba jersey on.
Mamba.
My man Javi, back for another one.
Good.
Yo,
my man.
Back. What's good? What's good?
Yes, sir. And in the starting center spot, big body boy himself.
Body, baby.
Rocking the beast mode.
Yes, sir.
Big body boy.
Sun's
Big
out.
J.
Guns out, baby. We out.
I like it, man.
Yeah.
Hope everybody had a safe and happy 4th. JV flag merch still available at sportjv.com.
Yeah.
Go check us out. But before we get into it, obviously we got an NBA session that we are definitely going to run through. But just want to let you guys know that last spot in the redraft JV Sports Room Fantasy Football League is still available. It is still available for you to co-own with the man behind the scenes.
Looking for the most consistent, get up in there, show us that you want to go face to face with the greatest of all time, the big body boy himself, knocking me off my pedestal. This is your opportunity to do that.
16-team league, all right?
Jeez.
Get your name in there, man. It's going to include a defensive player, obviously, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex spot. So get your name in there, get your comments in there. We want you in this league just as much as you want to be in it. But obviously, we here. This is actually the Money in the Bank episode, right?
Hey.
WWE actually hosts a Fly Money in the Bank pay-per-view
Yes,
that
sir.
I actually want to let my big body boy touch on real quick.
Yes, you're right, man. Hey, it's funny how all this is being wrapped up. We had Money in the Bank, a WWE live event on pay-per-view this weekend alongside a big UFC card, but at the same time, the same week that all this big money contracts is going on. So it's fitting. It's like something was in the air. But yeah, man, Money in the Bank was a big pay-per-view this weekend. It's one of the big 5 pay-per-views for WWE puts on. You know, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, and now Money in the Bank. It's kind of the shift of to see where the company is going to go for the future. Who's going to be next in line to get that title shot. And this particular show, man.
But hold on. It didn't start off so big, did it? Like,
no.
Didn't it start off as just a match?
Yeah, no. It literally started off as a concept match, a ladder match, where 6 or 7 competitors are climbing the ladders to try to reach a briefcase at the top. And inside that briefcase holds a contract that any superstar can use to cash in at the champion
right?
At any time for up to a year. They have a year to cash in. But it could be at any place, anytime. And like I said, it started off as a concept match and it transitioned because of the hype and people really start to get excited about it.
Yeah.
WWE created their own pay-per-view around it.
It's huge now.
Yeah. So, this weekend was Money in the Bank in Las Vegas, where we saw 2 Money in the Bank matches. We had the women's and the men's. And in the women's match, we had a young up-and-coming Liv Morgan climb the ladder, who the fans, by the way, they've been clamoring for Liv Morgan. She's been getting a lot of love, a lot of praise. People have been waiting for her rise up into the ranks. And she finally climbed that mountain and grabbed that briefcase early in the night. And she ended up cashing it in later on that night against
Legendary
UFC Hall of Famer Ronda Rousey, who, by the way, she was the SmackDown Women's Champion. And she won her match later on that night. Liv Morgan comes running down and beat up Ronda Rousey, by the way. She got
you
beat
don't
up.
think she took advantage of her? Obviously?
That's the name of the
That's
game.
the point, you know what I'm
Was
saying?
the champ.
That's the name of the game. If
She was limping.
She was the
like,
exactly. No, if you play your cards right, you cash in on an injured champion,
Crazy.
and now Liv Morgan's a champion. And then later on that evening, we saw Austin Theory, who a lot of people, a lot of experts have been clamoring like this is the next guy. Even Vince McMahon has come out publicly on TV saying, he's my prodigy. He's the next guy, the next John Cena. Another big highlight for me, personally, for this match of the weekend for me. I know UFC has some banger matches, banger fights, but the match of the weekend, go and watch the Uso brothers, Bloodline, Jimmy and Jay Uso versus the Street Profits in the tag team match, title match.
That was fun.
Yo, they had a banger match.
That was fun.
It was fire. So that's Money in the Bank this weekend. But I also definitely want to touch on the UFC. I want to give a big shout out to Israel Adesanya, the champion.
Stylebender.
Stylebender himself coming out with the Undertaker hat,
so
the
fly.
lights out.
That was clean. That was
Shouts
clean.
out to you, Stylebender, for showing the wrestling love. You know what I mean? It's out there. We out here. Wrestling love.
Still the champ, too.
And
Still
still
the
the
champ.
champ. And
Still
still.
the champ.
Yeah, for sure.
Facts,
So
facts.
big Money in the Bank weekend, man. in the mat, squared circle, whatever you want to call it, octagon, but also on that court, man.
Yeah, so let's touch on it. There was a lot of NBA players that got some new money in their bank.
That's a fact.
Right? Max contracts everywhere. I mean, I thought, ESPN had turned into Oprah for a minute. I just changed the channel because
You get a contract.
You get a bag,
You
and
get a bag.
you get a bag. But yeah, max deals everywhere. So, I mean, let's talk about some of these max deals. Obviously, we're going to start it out with the biggest one, right?
Biggest bag.
I think obviously deserving, but
Yeah.
Jokic,
Yo.
biggest contract in history.
Yes.
He got a 5-year extension for $264 million.
Sheesh.
That puts him over 300 million if you combine what his current contract is. It's reigning MVP, reigning defending, 2-time MVP.
Back to back,
Yeah, I mean, well deserved. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah. I guess when you're the back-to-back champ, these are the bags that you're going to be getting.
That's
I mean, Giannis is getting the bag. Everybody's getting the bag. And now we're seeing the biggest contract in NBA history from the back-to-back MVP. It's crazy.
Man, I mean, well deserving. Got his team into the playoffs last year, and they were completely banged up, right? Pretty much did it himself. Damn near averaged a triple-double. 27, 28 points, 14 rebounds, almost 8 assists. I mean, he brings it every single night. Got his team into the 5th seed. Unfortunate, that they had to play Golden State in the first round, but definitely deserving.
Yeah, the injuries that Denver's had, on and off with Jamal Murray and
It's heartbreaking.
Michael
man.
Porter.
Hate to see it.
Yeah, for sure. This team is still going to be interesting. I mean, going into next season, once they get everybody back healthy,
Facts.
West is tough, man. We'll definitely touch on some more West moves, man. But the West is tough. But yeah, definitely shouts out to Jokic, man, the Joker. Joker got the money, man.
Very big bag.
Yeah.
But also in the West, I'm talking about the West, big men. Cat got a bag too.
Sheesh.
Karl Anthony Towns.
Yep.
Max contract with Minnesota Timberwolves. Well deserving or no?
You got paid like a max player. Now it's time to perform like a max player. He came on towards the end of the year. I know we were giving him some lashings throughout the season. Yeah, a little grief. Where you at, Cat? Are you the number one on the team? Or are you playing Robin to Anthony Edwards Batman? Now he got paid, so now it's time to step up.
Yeah. We've seen him improve every year, and at the JVSPORTSROOM, we're critical on Towns because we know he's an all-star, but sometimes we might not see him rise to the all-star level. But at least on the bright side, we see him shoot like 40 plus from 3, so he's improving as a shooter. But they added more pieces, and you're getting the bag, so it's time to put up. You're a max contract player. It's time to play like a fully maxed out superstar player.
And I'm starting to fear that we're probably going to see him a little bit more on the perimeter because of the new addition that we got to that.
Which might be, it's going to be tough.
We definitely going to touch on that addition.
Yeah.
Is he a max contract player on the court? Yes. I need him to become a max contract player right up in here.
Bingo.
Yep.
That's what I need from Karl Anthony Towns.
Love that.
I still don't think he's their number one.
Yeah.
He could be a nice 1B. So I think he's deserving of it. He does have a little proving to do, if you ask me, though. But it's time to put up a shut up for sure. Also, another max deal in the West, Devin Booker. Phoenix Suns signed him to a 5-year extension.
Yeah.
You guys like Devin Booker getting the bag?
I like it, but now that I think about it, it just breaks my heart knowing that the Suns just fumbled the bag last year in the playoffs, and I expected Devin Booker. Come on, let's be honest. None of us thought the Suns, the best record in the West, were going to lose to Luka and company. You know what I mean? So I expected him last year as somebody that we thought last season was supposed to get a max contract player. He didn't put up. He kind of shut up.
Yeah,
so, he got the bag. He's an all-star. He deserves it, but I don't want to see what happened last year going forward. We can't see that.
Also,
that's unacceptable.
Also, the summer of Booker continues because he has been named the face and the cover boy of NBA 2K23.
Yeah.
And we know that's always a jinx.
Yeah.
There is a 2K curse. Maybe every year, every other year. But when you're on the 2K cover, sometimes some stuff be happening. So let's see.
So he's deserving of his max deal. But I agree with you 100%. Playoff time, we need more out of Devin Booker. We need max contract Devin Booker in the playoffs. That's what we need.
And that's a fact because, I mean, I know a lot of the young guys, they look up to the Mamba, you know, Booker, one of them. Jason Tatum, the other one that who's really been looking up to Kobe and comes out publicly and both of these guys fumbled the bag in the playoffs. Come on, if you're going to talk about it, be about it now.
Yeah.
Come on now. Have that Mamba mentality every step of the way.
That's it.
Especially
not when it's convenient.
I don't want to see all these players just mentioning Kobe. You're posting screenshots that you're texting Kobe. It offends the real Kobe and the OG basketball fans that when it's time to put up or shut up, we see you fumble the bag.
There you go.
So, you know, I didn't see too much mama mentality when it came to Devin Booker. So,
yeah, just the same exact way you said it's put up or shut up time for Cat. I like the way you say it's time to, if you gonna talk about it, be about it, Devin Booker. He does a lot of talking, but he don't always be there, especially in the biggest times. Actually, before we move on from those two, shout out to Jessica Holtz, first female agent to not only sign one max deal and Cat, but two, Cat and Devin Booker in the same exact day. Shout out to Jessica Holtz. But another max deal, Ja Morant.
Well deserved.
Well deserving, right?
not many questions there.
Nah.
I don't think we got
for us there.
Talk too much about that one. He put up last year, and
unfortunately didn't get to finish his journey because of the injury, but they'll be involved every step of the way from
absolutely.
Here on out.
It's Ja time. As Jarvis said a long time ago, it's Ja time, right? He's going to be around for a while. Good job Memphis holding on to him, as a matter of fact.
Whoop that trick.
Just got to be careful. You know, I want him to continue doing what he does, but when you have explosive players like that, we always see a pattern, whether it's Russ with his injuries, whether it's D Rose with his injuries.
Yeah, that's a good point.
God forbid that doesn't happen to Ja, because he's a lot of our favorite player, but
get in that gym,
gotta
Ja.
be careful. Just
get him in that gym, Ja.
Yeah, facts.
Come on.
Facts. I like how you mentioned injury because it's going to bring me to my next player.
Great segue. Great segue.
Does this guy, Zion Williamson, deserve the bag that he got? The max deal that he got?
So Zion has played 85 games in the last 3 seasons. We seen Kevon Looney just get a little bag. Kevon Looney played more than that in one season. He played every single regular season game and then played every playoff game and every finals game. We've seen Zion for 85 games in 3 seasons. So like we said about injuries, it's...
You know who's got the boo-boo face right now? If I am former #1 overall pick Anthony Bennett right now, if Anthony Bennett would have got injured, he would be getting the bag right now.
Yeah, for real.
Like, the P in potential stands for paid, man, because yikes. But in all seriousness, though, you had to pay him. You don't want to be the team that doesn't pay Zion and then ends up not missing out on a 10+ year all-star, superstar.
Or are you the team that saw the conditioning? The lack of effort at times. Are you that team that sees the injuries ahead of time on a not so in shape basketball player? I mean, all I'm saying is one more ugly injury and Zion could be Greg Oden, and maybe they're smarter than Portland was back in the day. I don't know, but hey, Zion got the bag.
That's the tough part, because it's like, we don't see Zion play too much, and then, when we all have our talks, it's like, we don't know is Zion out in the gym putting in work, has a strict diet, and he's putting in all this work, or is he in New Orleans eating jambalaya and rice and fried chicken all the time? But to me,
I'm gonna go with the latter.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with jambalaya.
Yo, man, but I hear both sides, man. But at the end of the day, I mean, what do the Pelicans? What's the alternative? Like, you had to pay him. Now, yes, it's a max deal, but these guys are still young. Same thing with Ja. After this deal, they're still gonna get another max deal. So if you miss out now, at least you miss out knowing that he's not the guy, rather than missing out and then he is the guy.
Facts.
You know, so hey Zion, get up in that gym. Come on, man. Put the gumbo, put the jambalaya down.
Yeah, get you some.
And don't be trying to fool everybody with these pictures with the lighting and you spray some water. Now you look like you're in shade. You got a little vein popping, like you're doing something.
Zion's ready for the next season.
Come on, man.
Is he?
Yeah. I want a more dedicated Zion.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Jambalaya Zion got to go. We need Zion Williamson, #1 pick.
Yeah.
Ready to go for New Orleans next season with this max deal, if you ask me.
And to that point, really quick, maybe there is a little bit of spark in New Orleans now. You know, you bring in CJ McCollum. You know, maybe that kind of sparks, and now Zion gets paid. He got the bag under his belt. Now he can, you know,
got a top 10 guard in the draft.
Yeah.
So that's gonna help. That's gonna help a lot too.
Maybe. Well, you mentioned top 10 guards. I'm gonna shift it over to the East and talk about Darius Garland. He got the bag.
Well deserved.
Well deserved.
Well
no
deserved,
question.
for sure.
No question. Preseason, we didn't think the Cavs were going to be hooping the way they were hooping.
No.
Even though they died down a little bit, but you know he's the captain of that ship, and I think he deserves every penny.
My favorite part about Darius Garland's season last year is that he never faltered. Like there was injury after injury after injury. So many times that he was supposed to be complimenting Colin Sexton. So many times that he was supposed to take a step back when Rubio came. No. The most consistent piece on that team last year was Darius All-Star Garland.
He adjusted.
Well deserved.
No matter what. Where, like you said, you had Colin next to you, he hooped, he adjusted. Colin got injured. You had Rubio next to you, you adjusted. You had trades. You had Karis LeVert come in. He adjusted.
Rondo.
You had Rondo. Karis LeVert got injured. You had Isaac Okoro come in. Like 5 adjustments.
Right.
Adjustments. And he put up all-star numbers.
Correct.
Well deserved.
All right, well, we had to wait a couple days on these next couple, but Bradley Beal gets a deal. Stays with Washington, max contract with the Wizards.
He's kind of messing around with us in the media a little bit, thinking he had something else planned, but stays in Washington.
You know, it's weird to see because, you know, we all want players we like to get paid, but it's also we want them to compete. Bradley Beal is the only player with an active no-trade clause in his contract. Joining previous players like, you know, Dirk, D-Wade, Melo. So
and he's the only active one in the entire NBA right now.
Only active one, which I don't know how to feel. I don't really know where that stands in my brain. Like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know if he's trying to secure the bag and just move forward. But it's like, if that's the case, if you really want to compete, what's going on in Washington?
I think at the end of the day, when you get those no trade clauses in your deal, it's literally because you want complete control of your future, your next destination. You know, so I can see that. There's been so many rumors about trading Bradley Beal here and stuff like that for the last couple years. I'm not mad at him for wanting that clause.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Gives
that
him control. I like that. Great call.
Yeah, but also in the East, Zach LaVine gets a bag. Young All-Star. Chicago Bulls lock him up for the next 5 years. How you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I love it. Love it for Chicago. We were kind of speculating whether he was going to stay, whether he was going to go. I know we had Lewis on recently as a Bulls representative, and he wanted to ship him. So I don't know how you feel about that. But anyway, Zach LaVine stays. You pair him up. Let's see what happens with Lonzo's situation.
I think he was a little upset, just like a lot of Phoenix fans with Devin Booker, with playoff Zach LaVine. He didn't show up. So just like, you know, Devin Booker, except a little quieter, Zach LaVine, you gotta show up come playoff time. You're an all-star. You gotta show up, kid.
All looks good for Chicago, man. If I'm in Chicago, I'm excited. You know, this is a team that at one point in time was the top of the Eastern Conference. So you keep the band back together. You know, everybody starts to gel a little bit more, and hopefully injury bug stays off of this team, and you know, we'll see what they can do.
Hopefully we'll see Lonzo come back nice and healthy, and you know, to go against what Lewis said, if I'm them, I'm trying to get rid of DeMar. You're getting up there in age, and it's like, you know, your value's right here. In the next 2 years, we might see that go down a little bit. So I think they could get the best value for DeMar right now. Yeah, but that's another story.
But with that, like, are they still going to be able to address like competing and trying to push for some kind of championship?
I don't think so, but I don't think it could be a huge difference from what we've seen last year. You know what I mean? Like, you can get a decent piece, and with the adding of like Andre Drummond and little things like that. Hopefully a difference could happen in Chicago.
I mean, I think they need DeMar there still for that end of game closer. He complements Zach LaVine very well. Yeah, sure. I think we've mentioned it a lot of times, and you just mentioned it just a second ago. It actually brings us to our next segment. Some other signings that happened was the Bulls signing Andre Drummond.
Yeah. Love it.
That's a great signing for them, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we've been knocking them on the head all year, man. Get some defensive presence, get a defensive help, behind Vucevic, who we know is not known for his defense. And if there's anything that Drummond does well, is grab some boards and play some rim protection. Yep,
absolutely. And the thing I like best about it too is maybe they are trying to do what Minnesota's trying to do and play a little big ball, right? You have a nice rebounding defensive center and Andre Drummond, and Vooch can stretch the floor.
Yep.
So I think they could play together sometimes too. Maybe put Vucevic at the 4 a little bit, but I don't see why not.
Another underrated signing, since we're on Chicago, is Goran Dragic. Dragic coming over is an underrated signing.
I love that one.
Guard off the bench, who's been around the league and experienced and can control the game. And
that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. That's a perfect signing for them. They're signing vets. Maybe Chicago is trying to take that next step, right? And they realize we need some bigs, we need some defense, and we need a veteran or two in the playoffs when they got smacked around. Yeah. So here they are, adding everything they need.
I think it's an underrated signing. Going into when the Heat were making their finals push a few years ago, Dragic was the Heat's leading scorer before he got injured. Last year, with the Nets, we didn't really see too much, and it was kind of blurry in between that run. But I think that was definitely an underrated signing. Shout out to Chicago.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Chicago definitely making a lot of small signings that are big for their team. So, speaking of small but big, you got a small guard that got a big contract for these New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson gets the bag. What did he get? 5-year, $104 million?
Yeah, something like that, and well deserved. I mean, we touched on it. We knew Jalen Brunson was going to get the bag. It's where it was going to go, and he lands in a pretty good spot, if you ask me. New York has been clamoring for a point guard, a guard that
desperately
that can handle the rock and get R.J. Barrett and these other guys involved and get them the shot when they can.
No, but I definitely agree. I think it's well deserved. He averaged over 20 points in the playoffs, and as a player who's 6'1", he's one of the leading scorers for guards in the paint. He has the most efficient floater in the whole NBA as far as point guards. So he's a monster. We've seen it. We've seen last year in the playoffs times where I can look at the stat sheet and I can watch the game and I say, he did more for this team on that specific night than Luka did.
Right.
Which sounds crazy. And I think to most of the casual-ish NBA fans, they're like, Jalen Brunson, $100 million. No, they didn't watch what we watched. I don't know if they witnessed what we witnessed when Jalen Brunson was on that court last year.
Look, man, I like Jalen Brunson a lot, but I'm one of those saying, Jalen Brunson, $100 million? It's tough, man. It's tough. I like him a lot. Definitely well-deserved of a big contract. I don't know about $100 million. That literally puts him, over $20 million a year. Like, I mean, that's huge money, man. They have to have very, very high expectations for him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully he earns it for those Knicks.
I'll tell you this. The Dallas Mavericks are not sniffing the NBA Finals without Jalen Brunson on their roster. So, whatever that says about the player himself and what he means to New York, I mean, so be it. But for the city of New York and knowing Knicks fans and they're clamoring for star power, I think Jalen Brunson, maybe not the star, but on the court production, I think he's going to be a good fit for them.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
I mean, I guess with all the money that the NBA is throwing around, you got $260 million and $220 million going there. I guess $100 million is.
I feel like $100 million
is discount at this point in time.
Is a high level rotation / starter.
Yes.
Not a max player, not an all-star.
Okay.
$100 million is like a solid, productive elite player.
Right.
But not a star.
New York wants to dip their toe in the water, see if it's warm or cold, and then
it might be a little different for them because they thought Kemba was going to come in and save the day, and halfway into the season, he was playing 0 minutes a night. Literally, he was at the crib playing 2K. So they're definitely more desperate than I think any team when it comes to wanting a point guard.
All right, yeah, you might be right. They desperately needed a point guard. So they gave him over 100 mil. It happens, man. Another player that got over 100 mil to stay with these Portland Trailblazers, Anthony Simons. How you guys feel about that young boy?
Orlando's own.
Yeah,
Anthony Simons.
right.
I think it's well deserved, no question. I think he's a hooper. I've seen flashes of Damian Lillard in him. I seen the CJ McCollum shot creator. We've seen him drop 20 pieces, 25 pieces. He's a certified hooper, and I didn't have no questions giving him that money.
Yeah, I think the sign was when they moved on from CJ McCollum. That kind of gave us the starting to see the signs of, okay, maybe there is something in Simons that they see, and they definitely see that. And I know we touched on it, but man, look out for Portland, man. Portland's making some moves, and the Simons deal is a big testament to that.
I mean, they re-signed him, and they re-signed Nurkic, their big man.
Well deserved too. The injuries scare me a little bit.
Yes.
But when he plays and he gets his starter minutes, we see what he can do.
Yep.
It's just the injuries that are a little scary for me.
Agreed. He's got to stay on the court. He's got to prove it this year too. That's a pretty big deal for him. But like I said, they're getting handed out.
Yeah.
So
I like what they got cooking up over there. Shout out to Portland.
All right. Well,
for sure.
What about your boy in OKC? Got almost 100 mil. 87 mil for Lou Dort.
That one. As an OKC fan since the Sonics, I'm a little bit biased, but when I go back to the Houston series and I look back at every time we played, let's say we have the James Hardens we're going against or any All-Star, Lou Dort is guarding that player. Kind of like when we had Thabo Cephalosha, he was a first-team All-Defense to me, locking up the All-Stars. Andre Roberson, yeah, you're Kaka, but you're locking up the All-Stars. I think Lou Dort plays better defense than both of them, and he can't hit the three. We've seen him have games against the Rockets where he's dropping 20 pieces and stuff like that. I think if we didn't give him that, somebody would have gave him a bag for real. Because to me, from what I've seen, he's a top 10 guard defender in the league. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to see that, but hopefully within the next 2 years when we start making our pushes and all of that, then little by little, I think the community is going to be like, oh, Lou Dort is a solid rotation player in the NBA. It just might not seem like it right now.
Yeah.
But he's a 3-and-D pure lock.
Yeah.
And you kind of had to.
And similar to what you were saying about the Brunson deal, we're all joking about getting the bag. And yes, to us, Lou Dort got a bag for sure. But in the landscape of the NBA, 80-something mil, 5 years, it's really...
Yeah,
the way these other guys are getting paid, it's like you said, it's good rotational player. Take care of your guy, your home team guy, and lock him up. So
it looks a lot better than what we've seen Jalen get.
Right.
We look at both, it's like okay, 80-something, 100.
Yeah,
it looks a lot better and it feels better as an OKC fan.
I like it. The biggest thing I get out of this is they locked him up for 5 years, and you guys are obviously a rebuilding franchise.
Yeah, so.
It seems to me that they want him definitely not only to be a rotation player, but probably one of their core pieces going forward. At least in the short term until they find themselves a superstar or two.
There was a lot of rumors of us trying to maybe package him to the Kings for the 4th pick, and Sam Presti did what he had to do. Random, but 2 years ago we were in Game 7 against Houston. So this rebuild is going on barely 3 years. So I think that's in the back of all of our heads too. So we'll see. Trust in Sam Presti for now.
All right. Well, you say 2 years. It's been about 2 years since this last guy on our list has played. T.J. Warren gets money from the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh man.
Deserving or no?
I try to find the amount of bread that they gave him, and I couldn't. So it's like if you gave him, depending on the amount, you know what I mean, like. I guess it all depends on the exact amount they gave him because in the bubble, he was a superstar.
Yes.
We seen him drop 53 points, and before the bubble, he was known as a solid defensive player. Yeah. And then I don't know, he had a sensu bean when it came in the bubble, and he turned into a different player. So depends what TJ we're getting. I guess.
I mean, if you're Brooklyn at this point with all the speculation going on around the team in general, I mean, why not throw a dart, man? Why not throw a dart and hopefully pop that bubble?
That's exactly what that is. That's a pop bubble. We might not even see him play next year. I mean, let's be real, man.
And they couldn't have gave him too much bread. They couldn't have gave him too much bread. You know what I mean?
I don't know, but he had a really good bubble. He I think scored 300 and some points in that bubble, and I think he's scored 300 and some points in the last 2 seasons plus the bubble.
Combined.
So yeah, crazy. I don't think he's deserving. But
got a Ziploc bag.
He got a Ziploc bag. Yeah.
If it's a vet minimum, I ain't mad.
Yeah, nah, I ain't
they give him a few mil.
I ain't mad.
Go ahead.
All right, but enough of these small deals. We had a couple big deals, not signings, but trade deals that happened in the NBA.
Wheeling and dealing.
I'm talking 3 and 4 first-round pick kind of deals.
Love it.
We touched on it because we had just got the breaking news last episode, but I want to touch more on how you guys feel about this DeJounte Murray for Danilo Gallinari and 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, that one's interesting.
Unprotected first-round picks.
That one's very interesting because Gallinari ended up getting waived, and he's going
He's
to
a Celtic now, right?
Yeah, probably the Celtics. So it's just weird, as fantasy players, we all seen as a DeJounte Murray owner, probably more than anybody that he's a hooper. You know what I mean? Even though you traded for him, but it's a different fit. But at the end of the day, the Hawks every team needs a star, but he's a solid defensive player.
He's a perimeter dog. Yeah, he's a dog on the perimeter, man.
Probably top 10 in steals, I'm pretty sure. And, whether he's as productive offensively or not, you got a solid elite perimeter defender, which any team can use.
My favorite part is he complements Trae Young so well.
Yes.
Trae Young's the shooter, not so great on defense. DeJounte, is the defender, the gritty one, the slasher, the one that's going to get you to triple doubles. He's all over the floor.
He's tall too.
I love it for them. Yeah. I love it. I feel like they needed that dog. I mean, Trae is their
Trae's a dog too now.
He's their closer. But I feel like they needed that defender.
Yeah, he's the dog that they attack offensively.
Correct.
Because they're going to run him over.
Correct.
And now you got somebody that's
he's a Rottweiler on offense. He's a Chihuahua on defense.
I love what you said and where you were going. I love what you said and where you were going as far as what this trade means for Trae Young. And, we saw definitely, during their playoff run like 2 years ago, and later in the season here, like how teams started to really like tighten up on Trae.
That Heat series.
Yeah, the Heat series. And
tough.
Now this gives him some flexibility. Like, are you gonna play Trae tight like that? Or now, you got DeJounte on the other side. So it's gonna be great for Trae, and great for DeJounte. That the Hawks is keep things rolling, keep it interesting.
It's gonna be,
and shout out to the San Antonio. I think it's a great trade for them as well. Yes. I mean, obviously you send away an all-star, but you get 3 unprotected first-round draft picks to go along with the 2 that they got for Derek White just last season as well. These guys are sitting on 5 extra picks within the next few years. You can't be mad at the complete rebuild.
Here.
Exactly.
Can't beat them, join them. Yeah,
I think they're gonna make their push for Victor Wembanyama next season and go for that number 1 pick next year. I think that's what's gonna happen.
That's if Utah doesn't tank and try to get him, because they just traded away Rudy Gobert to Minnesota.
Blockbuster.
4 first-round picks and 5 players total. I think it's a combined of 9 total players for the defensive player of the year.
Multiple times.
Reigning 2-time defensive player of the year. Correct.
Like we said, if you've been following us along, where there's smoke, there's fire. There was smoke early in the season about Utah, and then with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, and as we saw towards the end of the season in the playoffs, and they crumbled. And they chose. Utah chose. They said, we're going to build around Donovan Mitchell and see you later.
And the young pieces they got in the draft. They got the young shot blocker in the draft, right? That could be Rudy Gobert 2.0.
They got, as of right now, a great value Rudy Gobert of the entire college basketball. You got Walker Kessler from Auburn playing alongside Jabari Smith Jr., getting triple doubles and blocks. Like when we used to look at Chet, we were like, damn, Chet's blocking everything. The unhidden gem is Walker Kessler of the draft. averaging over 5 blocks a game. Like, once again, triple doubles and blocks is nuts.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It doesn't happen often.
Yeah, and we know when it comes to the perimeter, we've seen Rudy Gobert get cooked. Walker Kessler, we've seen him get cooked too. Maybe not as much sometimes, but I think they got a lot back for Rudy Gobert. I like all the players they gave away.
I love it. I love it for that reason. For even more, because of the small market you are in Utah, a lot of free agents aren't going to go to Utah.
Yeah.
So how do you build teams? And what does Utah do really well is draft.
Yep.
Correct.
They draft or they find Donovan Mitchell in the second round. You draft Rudy Gobert. And even in the past with guys like Carmelo and John Stockton, this is what these small market teams do is you got to build through the draft. You're not going to sign free agents. So, yeah, I love the deal for Utah. You had to pick and choose, and you chose. I think they chose right. Donovan Mitchell. That's the guy we're going to build around.
100%.
And
the other thing I like about it is they got a lot of small contracts that are going to be gone within the next couple years. So they're going to be clearing out a whole lot of cap space. I mean, like you said, not sure if they're going to sign any big free agents, but you're going to have to pay Donovan Mitchell very soon. And the other young draft picks that they end up getting in the next couple of years, as they come up, they're going to have to start paying some of those guys. So, free up space, bunch of draft picks for the future. Love Utah, what Utah did.
Kind of got 3 starters, so can't complain about that. We're going to see what Utah does.
speaking of a starter, you get a dog in Patrick Beverly. He's over
Patrick
there
Beverly,
chomping at the bit, defending this team that he was on, and now he's out of the game.
We seen Jared Vanderbilt turn into a starter. We seen Malik Beasley hoop. So we'll see. Maybe they'll ship him out of here. But as of right now, I like it. I ain't mad at it.
But for Minnesota, we touched on earlier with the cat talk. I like it. It's a little old school kind of vibe. Two bigs playing big ball. We've seen it work. Kind of working in Cleveland.
Facts.
But like I was touching on earlier, as far as Cat, I think this now gives him the green light to maybe extend his game out to the perimeter a little bit more.
That's what he's been wanting to do anyway.
Exactly.
Let's be real.
Yeah. Exactly. It's better work. I tell you that. I mean, you got a course set in place. Now it's time to, like you said, flip that switch. And
win now.
And let's roll. Yeah.
It's time to win now. And
I'm not a fan of it personally. Yes, offensively, it allows Cat to stretch out more to the three. But you tell me what's going to happen when they play against the Golden State Warriors or any other team that decides to go small. And they decide to run those big men in a pick and roll. Neither Gobert nor Cat can guard the perimeter. Size 22 shoe is not moving out there on the perimeter, and neither is Gobert. So I don't like it for them defensively. If they're trying to run up the score on teams, sure. But defensively, I think they're going to have a lot of liabilities, man.
Play 2-3 zone, man. 2-3 zone.
It's going to be.
I'm just kidding.
They're big in there. Maybe a 3-2 and then, shut people down on the perimeter. But
it'll definitely help with certain, just like you said, when it comes to Golden State, it's going to get real spooky when Rudy Gobert he switches and he has to guard Curry.
Yeah.
But I can imagine, I'm picturing if Rudy Gobert was on that team when you were going against the Memphis Grizzlies, because Ja Morant had a field day.
Yeah.
Just driving left and right. And then another field day, his best series of the whole playoffs, we seen Jaren Jackson Jr. have a field day.
Yeah.
We seen them eating in the paint.
I'm telling you.
So
Brandon Clark was even had some splashes.
Man, those
they were killing
those
the paint.
bigs can be a liability on defense, man.
We seen.
I almost have a crazy feeling like they're not quite done. Like I don't know. Maybe there's something in the works to move on from Cat and get some of those picks back. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just talking at this point in time, but I don't like it. If I'm a Minnesota fan, I'm wondering how they're gonna stop the teams on the perimeter. Personally,
I think
it's a great point.
Pros and cons, but Kyle Anderson, a new addition to them as well.
Great,
should definitely help. When it comes to the
slow-mo. Slow-mo.
Wendell Moore Jr. coming from Duke, I thought he was a solid player. He is also a good defensive player. So we'll see. It's gonna be real interesting when we see the Minnesota in the playoffs. Hopefully.
All right. Well, a not so huge trade deal, but I think very huge for this team. Malcolm Brogdon going to the Celtics for Daniel Tice and a bunch of other scraps and a 23 first.
Yeah.
I think I like it for both teams.
Oh yeah, I love it. You bring over Tyrese Halliburton. comes over from Sacktown and into the Pacers now, and now they've kind of freed up Brogdon to for them to be able to move on from Brogdon. And I think what Boston wanted in Derek White, I think you get that plus more with Malcolm Brogdon.
Right,
for sure.
A defender on the perimeter, a playmaker with the ball in his hands. It was cute for a little while with Marcus Smart, but now you got an actual point guard,
a real point guard now. They got a guard who can do it all, and he's not 6'2", 6'3". He's probably 6'5"-ish, 6'4"ish, the same as Marcus Smart.
Right.
So you're adding a playmaker, a defender. He can give you a bucket anytime, but as somebody that I had him on my fantasy team almost every year, he misses games every single year.
He does.
So if he stays healthy, I thought that was a steal.
Yeah.
Because these guys they got rid of were either playing in garbage time, and Daniel Tice played like 10 minutes in the finals.
No,
so you really didn't give up nothing at all.
For sure. Just another situation where it's two teams, one that's looking for a championship, needing that one piece added on like a Malcolm Brogdon, a great facilitator, a great playmaker, and then Indiana obviously in rebuild mode. So good deal for both teams, man. Oh, but before we move on from some of these deals and these free agents, anybody got any idea where Miles Bridges might end up besides prison?
Well, we talk about people getting the bag, and we got to talk about the other side of that, and that's fumbling the bag.
It sucks.
My man fumbled the bag.
You almost think he should have took that 7.2 qualifying offer that Charlotte extended to him. Right?
Yeah, you almost think so. It's the timing couldn't have been any worse.
Yeah, I mean, he fumbled the bag.
I mean, he did everything he needed to do. You had the breakout year.
Right.
You had everything lined up to get the bag.
Had teams waiting to sign you.
And alleged criminal domestic violence charges. So
yeah, he fumbled the bag, and he might be fumbling his freedom.
Yes,
facts.
Great point.
Hopefully, nothing happens with Montrezl Harrell too, because you got two criminal cases with two key players that were playing last year. So, for better for worse, I hope justice is served. Whether that's who knows, but it sucks for the Hornets either way. Sucks for the Hornets.
Yep.
Agreed. All right, but outside of all of these signings and deals, man, you mentioned this young boy earlier, man. Chet playing well in the summer ball, man. So far, so good. Nice first game, 23 points. I think he had 6 blocks. But then
the big body boy,
Kenny Lofton showed him up a little bit in that second game, huh?
Yeah, it was tough. First game, he broke the summer league record in blocks. He had a great game, but when it came to the second game,
KD tweeting him.
You're going against 6'7", 6'8", 280-pound big body boy.
Yeah, man.
And offensively, Kenny Lofton got the better of him.
I mean, he was
bully ball,
dropping that shoulder on him, and hey, man,
Chet did get him into foul trouble.
Yeah.
And Chet's plus minus compared to Kenny Lofton was night and day. So his plus minus was better. He was about 3 for 10, 3 for 11, and he did get bodied. But at least I still seen the rebounds. I seen 2
sounds
blocks.
like an OKC fan defending his boy over there, right?
Yeah. So the problems that we had with the big body boys, we seen last night.
Yeah.
We seen that. It's a full effect. But I'm gonna say what I've seen everybody say when I brought up that first game. It's just the summer league, man. It's just the summer league. If Paolo goes off tonight, it's just the summer league. If he plays bad, it's just the summer league.
Got Paolo against Jabari tonight.
Yeah.
That should be fun, right?
Yeah, but shouts out to Kennedy Chandler, who he and the Memphis Grizzlies agreed to a $7.1 million contract. This contract contains the largest guaranteed salary, $4.94 million, which is the highest for an American second-round draft pick in NBA history. So, not veterans, rookies are getting the bag. Second-round pick rookies are getting the bag as well.
Boy, even second-round picks getting money in the bank, huh?
Man. So, Kennedy Chandler was highly touted, man, out of Tennessee.
Yeah. Kenny Lofton, undrafted. He keep hooping the way he's hooping. We gonna have an undrafted player go to the Grizzlies and get a bag.
All right, well, moving on from the courts, there is some other big body news that we're gonna send it over to the starting center spot for.
We're here, man. Big body news. Well, since we're on the court, we're gonna stay on the court and possibly end up in court with Brittany Griner, who pled guilty
It's a bar.
to drug charges and faces up to 10 years in prison. This Brittany Griner saga is
It's one of those situations you have to think that there's there's more to it. There's more behind it. You know, she's not going to plead guilty and not have, you know, another plan. There's more to it for sure.
Yeah, this situation is very spooky. Like you said, there's probably something that's going to come after this. And from what I'm reading is that in order for her to be transitioned from Russia to back to the United States, she needed to plead guilty. When she gets over here, there may be a chance to pardon her charges. You know, pardon her or diminish her charges.
Lessen the charges.
Yeah, lessen the charges. So maybe, you know, get her out soon. So we'll see where this saga continues. We'll touch back on this as soon as we get more news. But moving on to the field now. A lot of moves in the NBA. A big move in the NFL now. It's officially happened. Baker Mayfield has been traded from the Cleveland Browns to the Carolina Panthers for a 2024 5th-round pick, which could be a 4th-round pick if depending on how much Baker plays.
Conditional.
Mm-hmm. So Baker's out of there, and Carolina's got another quarterback to deal with.
Well, they ain't out here stealing no quarterbacks in the 1st round, that's for sure. They traded a 3rd-round pick for Sam Darnold. They drafted Matt Corral in the 4th, and now they got Baker Mayfield in the 5th for a 5th-round pick. So they're trying to figure out their QB carousel, and
you talk about digging in your pockets and pulling out a stick of gum and rubber bands and
that's a Jolly Rancher.
yeah, that's gonna take us to the Super Bowl.
Hey, I will say this, Josh Rosen, you're on alert. You're next, buddy. You started with Sam Darnold. You get Baker Mayfield. Josh Rosen is next on that list as far as quarterbacks that were drafted that same year. Because I think Josh Allen's pretty locked in. They can't get Josh Allen. But
I mean, I don't necessarily like it for Cleveland, considering, you know, we don't really know what's going to go on with this whole Deshaun situation. So where does Cleveland turn to for quarterback at this point in time? Who knows? But I mean, you know, they pretty much, you know, kicked Baker out of there months ago. So, you know, the split had to eventually come.
It was going to happen. It was just a matter of when, where, and to who. So, but it happened. So Baker, you get an opportunity to be a starter. In a good situation, by the way. You got some weapons over there in Carolina. But you mentioned them. Now we're on to the Watson watch here with the Big Body News. And Deshaun Watson.
The Watson watch.
The Watson watch. Deshaun Watson has been offered, according to my sources, Deshaun Watson has been offered an indefinite suspension from the NFL with the possibility of being reinstated week 12. But he'll have to apply. We saw this with Josh Gordon years back, with the possibility to be reapply and get reinstated. But as of right now, he was offered the suspension, and according to my sources, he's denied that. He's withdrawn from the suspension. So we'll see where this goes. Another week of the Watson watch.
Again, I fear for Cleveland in this situation, or any other Cleveland fans. Alex, sorry, bro. Yeah. I can't even tell you who your starting quarterback's going to be this year.
But I will say this, though. I don't know if Cleveland, I mean, maybe the relationship was dead altogether, but I don't know if Cleveland is doing the Baker deal if they don't have some kind of hope in the Watson deal, right, falling through. But at the same time, they did sign Jacoby Brissett, who is a great backup quarterback in the league. So maybe they do feel comfortable with Jacoby. But that's all I got for Big Body News. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right. I guess we'll get back to Big Body next week with that Watson watch again. But we're going to take it to the field. We'll actually keep it on the field, just the MLB field. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to keep gloating about my Yankees because, you know, I do that every week. But we are looking to be the first team over 60 wins, and Aaron Judge is the first player to 30 home runs. So, I mean, them Yanks keep yanking right now, boy. They yanking the whole league around.
And he did that with some fireworks with a grand slam, was his 30th home run. So, yeah.
And a 16-0 shutout, right?
Yeah.
Looking forward to these Red Sox this weekend. We got a Yankee-Red Sox rivalry.
Classic rivalry.
3-game set. So looking forward to that. We're going to start it off with Nestor Cortez Friday night. He had a great outing last week against the Guardians. Sorry, Alex. You guys only got 1 run against him, bro. We actually had a nice 3-game set. Won 2 out of 3 against those Guardians last week. Yeah, Nestor Cruz looking to get it started this weekend against the Red Sox. But speaking of Guardians, my man Alex, he missed the show, but we did want to make mention of those Guardians. They starting to come around. I mean, they're they've fallen in the last few games, but since the last time he was on the show, they're over 500 now, just barely over 500. 4 games back in the AL Central, and actually 2.5 out of the wild card. So we may see some Guardians in these playoffs this year.
I will say this about the Guardians: it's time for them to start waking up these bats. They got nobody batting 300 right now, so it's time to start waking up these bats to get the ball rolling.
And also, man, they need to get themselves another pitcher before this deadline, because I think they only have 4 pitchers going in their rotation right now. So you definitely need a 5th pitcher in your rotation. So wake up the bats.
Speaking of waking up, my Mets, we're 5-5 in our last 10. We got the Braves closing in, and we haven't seen DeGrom in over a year. Yeah, so, there's a lot going on. Started off going crazy. And it's looking a little spooky as of lately. So we're going to see. I've seen rumblings about, possibly if DeGrom isn't happy, depending on what's going on, he's interested in the Braves or the Dodgers or whatever it was. So we're going to see. Stuff's going to hit the fan soon. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully he's healthy.
Crazy you mentioned the Braves and the Dodgers, because you guys are only 2.5 games ahead of the Braves in your division now.
That would hurt.
They're closing in on you guys. And the Dodgers actually, they're looking strong lately. They got Mookie back, and they actually have the best record in the NL now. So they've passed you guys as well. Dodgers looking strong, man. Mets need to step it up for sure.
But we're 5-5 in our last 10, man. That's tough to see after the good start that we had. So we definitely got to tighten up, because it's not looking good.
Team's closing in on you, man. For sure. All right, gentlemen, well, that's all the time we got for today. My man Javi, appreciate you holding down that Kobe corner with that fresh Mamba jersey.
Yes, sir. It's good to be back.
And Big Body Boy, appreciate you holding down that starting center spot.
You know what it is, Body. Hey, get in those comments. Type, beat Big Body. I will beat you, Big Body, in fantasy. Get in them comments. Get active. Get in this fantasy league, because I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be fun. And you get to play against the best. Come on with it.
Best of the best.
To learn something.
Once again, man, 16-team league. Make sure you like, subscribe, put fantasy league, put whatever you want in the comments. Just let us know you want to be in it. You want to co-own that team with the man behind the scenes. But as usual, man, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check us out at sportjv.com. Support the merch. Check out the JV flag gear, Beast Mode, JDino 407 for savings. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. And obviously, if you want to support the show, Cash App us at $JVSPORTSROOM. And as usual, I got a quote for you guys from, I think, the greatest wrestler of all time. I mean, the king of WrestleMania, if you ask me.
King of WrestleMania.
Hard to argue against it.
The Undertaker.
Thanks.
Work until you no longer have to introduce yourself. Thank you guys for watching.